The Buffalo Bills have three huge advantage versus the Arizona Cardinals in this Week 1 matchup, and why I believe players like Dalton Kincaid, Ed Oliver, and James Cook are going to have huge outings. The first huge advantage I want to discuss are the Buffalo Bills receivers versus the Arizona Cardinals cornerbacks. They are all brand new to the Arizona Cardinals, and this article specifically states it that Sean Murphy Bunting, Garrett Williams, Max Melton, and Elijah Jones all coming to this secondary for the Arizona Cardinals. We could clearly see that Garrett Williams did not have the chance to take part in training camp last season while rehabbing from an ACL injury. Well, Garrett Williams this year is the starting nickel cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals. Furthermore, you could see on the second day of the draft in 2024, this year's draft, Arizona Cardinals added tons of depth to the position. No exception with the selections of Max Melton and Elijah Jones, two cornerbacks that will fight for reps heading into training camp. And at the bottom here, it's no secret that the Cardinals spent the offseason heavily upgrading the cornerback position while signed Murphy Bunting and used early draft picks Melton and Jones. The cornerback room lacks experience. Murphy Bunting at 27 years old is the young old guy. The depth is there, but there's an opportunity to add more experience to one of the league's youngest rooms. We need to dive into each and every single one of these players and understand what is going on. So Sean Murphy Bunting, who they just signed to be their premier edge cornerback, is brand new to the team and is surely going to need time to transition, not only to the new team, but new playbook and everything. So going against guys like Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins, MVS, Buffalo Bills should have an advantage at that position. And their opposite corner, Starling Thomas, at only 5'10", 194 pounds. You put a guy like Murphy Bunting on a guy like Curtis Samuel, and then next thing you know, we have Keon Coleman, MVS, Mac Hollins on a 5'10" cornerback. This, to me, is another huge advantage for Bills Mafia. And furthermore, the inexperience at the nickel cornerback spot with Garrett Williams starting there. I think the Buffalo Bills with Khalil Shakir, and why I believe Dalton Kincaid has a huge matchup problem here for the Arizona Cardinals is because of Garrett Williams' overall size. So here we could see Garrett Williams at 5'10", 192 pounds. He went to Syracuse. He's very fast, he's shifty, he's quick, but again, not the biggest, strongest, most physical slot cornerback that you're going to see. Just to give you more insight, Garrett Williams is a rookie, and you could just take a glance here, how fast, how quick, how agile he is, lacking experience, lacking awareness, and his strength at only 63. So when you look at it, a guy like this would match up very well against a Khalil Shakir and not so much a Dalton Kincaid, who has been seen to be playing in the slot at times for the Buffalo Bills. A guy like Dalton Kincaid can outbody and work a guy like Garrett Williams, especially being a rookie. Dalton Kincaid, I think, is primed for a huge day, Week 1 versus the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the second advantage the Buffalo Bills have over the Arizona Cardinals is this defensive line going against their offensive line. Between Paris Johnson, Evan Brown, Froholt, Will Hernandez, and Jonah Williams, I truly believe the Buffalo Bills have a much better defensive line when you look at A.J. Epinesa, Greg Rousseau, Von Miller, Daquan Jones, and also Ed Oliver. They should be able to dominate this offensive line. Now, we all know that Kyler Murray is fast. He's agile, too. He can escape the pocket, and he also has a quick release. He's definitely going to be a rhythm passer and try to get the ball out fast. I don't foresee him wanting to hold on to the football. Also, a height advantage for the Buffalo Bills in this defensive line going against Kyler Murray at 5'10". Guys like A.J. Epinesa and Greg Rousseau pushing 6'6", 6'7", trying to see over them, especially with their hands above their heads, is going to be an awfully tough task for Kyler Murray. Just take a look at some of these rankings really quick. Greg Rousseau at 86 overall, Von Miller 86 overall. Can even come down here, Daquan Jones at 79 overall, Ed Oliver at 82 overall. Arizona Cardinals offensive line, Will Hernandez at 80 overall. And we're going to be diving into their height and why I believe Ed Oliver is going to ball out. Also, you can see the next player, Paris Johnson, at 77 overall. And then it drops dramatically here with their next starter, being right here. And then it drops down to Froholt being 73 overall. Their center, Jonah Williams, being their right tackle. And then they also have Evan Brown, their left guard, at 71 overall. Their starting left tackle, Paris Johnson, at 6'6", 313 pounds. I think the Buffalo Bills have a real shot at getting under Paris Johnson with Von Miller. I know, unfortunately, Javon Solomon is going to be out for this game. And that would have been great to see him matched up here. But 6'6", going against Von Miller with the bend and being 100% himself, I think this is a huge advantage for the Buffalo Bills. Now, on the interior of this offensive line, I think this is where Ed Oliver clearly has a big-time advantage. You could see Evan Brown at 6'3", 320 pounds, a little bit slower, stronger, not as agile, not as quick off the ball, and that's where Ed Oliver comes in. I think he could exploit their slow initial first step, and you can see their offensive lineman here at 6'5", 310 pounds. He's 28 years old. He's got decent experience. And then clearly Will Hernandez, probably their best offensive lineman at 6'2", 332 pounds. Again, a more stronger, physical, slower offensive lineman, not necessarily the fastest, and that's why I believe a guy like Ed Oliver could clearly pop off. When you have a Will Hernandez and Daquan Jones head to head, I would say that's a pretty tough matchup, and Ed Oliver, I think, could use his speed, his agile quickness to beat a guy like Will Hernandez. If we don't get to Kyler Murray, we can get our hands up with 6'6" Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa and Daquan Jones. With these guys and their hands above their head, if we know the ball's coming out quick, we could still bat that ball down at the line of scrimmage. On paper, the Cardinals are a 4-3 defense, but technically still are a 3-4 defense, and you can see that with some of their player personnel, like an outside linebacker playing defensive end in this scheme. And that's why I think James Cook has a huge opportunity here to really ball out. With Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, who we just re-signed, Osiris Torrance, Connor McGovern, and David Edwards, I think we have a huge opportunity here to create some huge running lanes for James Cook and really, really pop off against the Cardinals. This fan asking about what their scheme actually is, and they said you basically have to wait until it shows up on the field, whether it is a 3-4 or a 4-3. It rarely shows up on the field. And his guess, most of the time, there will be 4 guys on the line of scrimmage, but they still are mixing between different edge rushers, linebackers, 5 defensive backs. So it's this hybrid defense that they're trying to instill here in Arizona. Now, looking at what could be their 4-down defensive linemen, you could see Zavon Collins, a linebacker at 6'4", 260 pounds, kind of being that hybrid defensive end linebacker and what you would see in a 3-4 scheme. So we have him at 6'4", 260 pounds. Bilal Nichols at 6'4", 313 pounds. At the D tackle spot, Ray Lopez at 6'2", 318 pounds at the D tackle spot. And then Justin Jones, a D tackle at 6'3", 309 pounds. What I assume here is that this is a very heavy defensive line. You see 260 pounds, 313 pounds, 318, and then actually another defensive tackle at the defensive end spot at 309 pounds. So to me, this is a big, strong defensive line that is probably going to be halfway decent against the run. But knowing if we get through this defensive line with the speed of James Cook, also utilizing James Cook out of the backfield, receiving the ball, I really think we're going to have a huge opportunity here to hit some home runs. Plus, I think with a slower defensive line, it's going to allow Josh Allen more time in the pocket, especially if they don't blitz. And we all know Josh Allen is the king in the NFL when it comes to off-scripting plays. What other advantages do you think the Buffalo Bills have over these Arizona Cardinals in Week 1 of 2024? Can't wait to get this season kicked off. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, check the link in the description for the BNC Chicken Wing merch. You guys could also get $50 off any Course Careers course. Link down below. That's personally how I started my full-time job. But I appreciate you. Hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.